How's it going, guys? Got a few people still jumping on, so we'll probably uh, we'll probably just let you guys kind of roll in here a little bit. I got a few things I want to talk to you guys about, a few announcements that I have, and then we'll get going tonight. So, spent some time this week. Well, I had a conversation with Artur, who created the beginning of our front end website for the framework, and we weren't able to have a long discussion because his internet connection was poor. But he's doing a pretty good job. So we'll be looking forward to the front end sites coming very soon with that. We're going to write documentation. In preparation for that, I've been going through the code and cleaning some stuff up and adding some more functionality to it. So as I do that, you guys will benefit from all the changes that we've made. Primarily, if you followed my directions and forked last week, if you forked the repo, we'll be able to just merge in all the changes that I've made. So the other thing is just a little bit of housekeeping that's kind of crappy. Is it's storming. Hello, JJ. It is storming pretty bad here. So hopefully the power doesn't go out or the internet stays strong. I apologize in advance if anything happens to this stream because of the storm. But we will carry on as long as the universe allows us to do so. What's up, Artur? Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Steve, JJ, Artur, I knew you guys would be here. Well, I talked to Steve and JJ ahead of time. They were on the chat a little earlier. Artur, I was just telling them that we had a conversation and you're working hard on the front end site, and I've been working on the back end site trying to get the framework ready to go. I've been doing a lot of commenting in the code. You guys will see some of that. So how have you guys been since last week? Let me know in the comments how you guys are doing. Tell me an interesting story, something you've learned. Hopefully you guys aren't waiting for me every week to learn something. You guys should be diving in and learning as much as possible. Quite a bit of lag between when I'm talking to you guys and when you're able to actually hear me, which kind of stinks for our live conversation, but we'll get to it. All right, so what I want to do first and foremost is I want to jump in, and we are going to go ahead and merge in the changes that I've made to the framework because we're going to be using those changes tonight. So hopefully you guys fork the repo, because this will be super easy if you did. But basically, let me share my screen here. All right, so I'm here. Well, let me get this over here. So I'm here in my repo, and you guys can see I've created a new branch for tonight, just called episode 4. You don't have to do that. I'm just doing that in case anything goes real wonky. I have the code separated. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do git remote-v just to check out my remotes. And if you followed along last week with this part, you'll have your origin, and you will have the upstream. And the upstream is set to my Bitbucket repo with the framework. And so what we're going to do before we get started is we're going to actually merge in all the changes from the framework that I've made. And I'll kind of briefly go over some of those changes just so you know what they are. But in order to do this, all we have to do is say git merge, and then we're going to type in upstream master. Did I spell that wrong? Git merge upstream. I have a question I saw online some days ago, which is it compulsory to know English before you start learning programming? Well, I mean, it just depends where you're working, I guess. So, um, it looks like you know English really well, unless you're using a translator to type that, Steve. But um, I don't know. I guess it just depends what you're working on and where you're working. I mean, um, I can't program in any other language or anything like that, but I'm certain that people do. Um, so I don't know. I actually don't know the answer to that. That's interesting. You guys might have some feedback for him in the comments. What you found in there. And I'm obviously doing something wrong here, so I'm actually going to look up the GitHub article that Git fork repo. And let's see. Git fetch upstream. I guess I have to call that first. All right, there we go. So now we can do git merge upstream master, and dang it, what am I doing wrong here? So I fetched it, and then, oh, I got the syntax wrong. It's not a space. It's /. All right, cool. So now I have merge conflicts, which I was hoping to have, because many of you might have some merge conflicts when you merge stuff in. So we're going to go ahead and resolve those merge conflicts, and we're going to, Artur says, doing some changes on the ban IP code and it's working nice. All right, nice, man. Thank you. I'll say that instead of like committing directly to master, let's go ahead and create branches from stuff moving forward on the front end site and make a pull request when you're ready for it to be merged in, and I'll take a look at it and then we'll merge that stuff in. All right, so we got that done. Let's go ahead and clean up our merge conflicts. So I'm using Atom. If you use Atom, they have integrations with GitHub, which is one of the reasons that I like it. So I can just click here and it shows me everywhere where I have conflicts and how many conflicts I have. So the first one's in the config. So I'm going to open that up, and basically this is just saying, hey, there's differences here because of the config file being different, but I'm going to go ahead and click use me for my stream here. So that one, it shows now it's ready. And then we have two in the model. So let's go down and find those. And this might be a situation where we change something here. And I'm going to, for this one, I'm going to, instead of using the head, I'm going to go ahead and use the upstream from the framework. And then we have one more conflict. Okay, well, we had this timestamps function that I didn't have. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and copy that, but then I'm going to click use me here and go ahead and add this timestamps here. And I've been doing dot comments on everything so that we can easily create documentation later. and I don't have that set up here. So I'm going to show you guys a cool little package. You go to edit, and this, again, I'm using Atom, so hopefully this is, you guys are as well. But inside settings, I'm going to go to install and look up a package called Dock Blocker. This one right here, I'm going to install that. Alright, and what that will allow me to do, once we're rocking here, is it will help me create doc comments, like block comments above each method. And let's see the description. So this will generate timestamps for update and insert. And it doesn't return anything, so we can actually get rid of that line there. Alright, so now that we have these merge conflicts taken care of, I'm going to go ahead and click on this stage all. Huh. Why would it say that? Where are the merge? It says that it has markers in it, which is bad, but I don't see them. I think it's maybe a caching issue with the editor not knowing I changed it. So we'll just go ahead and stage that. Alright, so once JJ says, my English is not so bad. I do some grammar mistakes, but I hope you can apologize me. And then Steve says, I know English, but what about those who don't know English? Does that mean they won't be able to be a programmer? Yeah, again, I don't know. I mean, I would think you could be a programmer without knowing English, but I could be wrong about that. I just can't imagine that every single programmer in the world knows English. That would just be weird. Now, in order for them to, learn from me, they're going to need to know English because, well, mainly because, oh, I see. Why did it not pick this up? That's really bizarre. Let me just double check that before I commit that. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and commit that, and then we'll push that. All right. So now that those merge conflicts are taken care of, go ahead and close this, and let's see. Yeah, let me check this out. Steve says, wow, that's a lot of comments. What he's referring to is I got comments above every method. And that's intentional. I know it's kind of crazy looking at the code like this, but when you're creating a framework like this, what's great about this is anytime I go to use these methods, I will actually be able to see in my editor all the parameters and things like that. So let me give you an example of that. So if I go to this model here, and let's see, let's say we're going to do something like this update. Okay. I guess that's not working. Man, we're missing some packages, guys. So let's go now. Let's see. Install one more. And Oh my gosh. All right, well, anyway, I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on that, but basically, if you have your editor set up correctly, when you're using the functions, it will grab all that information about from the comments. So if you look, let me go and look at the model real quick. Hope it doesn't keep opening that. All right, so then what I have to do is go and, so if you look at these comments, you have, let me find a good one real quick. You know, it'd be better to show you the form helpers. Form helpers have more, and that's going to be a pain in the butt. So let me stop that. Dang it. I apologize, guys. Bear with me. We're going to get going on some cool stuff, I promise. All right, so if you look at the form helpers, we have all these dot comments, and it's got a small comment at the top about what this comment does, and then each parameter that this thing takes, I can put what type the parameter is expecting, so string for this, the name of the param, and then I'll have a comment about the param. And so as I'm using this, in most situations, obviously my text editor is not completely working yet with that, but I'll get that going and I'll show you guys how I did it in the next video or something. But basically, as I'm filling this out, it'll give me autocomplete reminders as a pop-up while I'm typing to say, hey, this parameter is typed, this one's label, it's a type of string, and it'll show me any sort of comments here. That's one good benefit of commenting like this. And the other benefit of commenting like this is that you can generate documentation based upon these comments. Okay, so there's like libraries that do that. So in some of these, I mean, the comments are as many lines of code as the actual method, but it just helps when we're going to use it in the future in the rest of our application. Some people comment everything like this. I'm probably only going to comment all the files in the core and my validators and stuff like that, most likely. I may do some more if there's a lot of parameters just to help me remember. But for the most part, I just want the core files to have these comments so that I don't have to open these files every time I want to use them. My IDE or you know, the editor's going to do that stuff for me. All right, so that's a little bit about that. I'll show you guys real quick. One thing that I added into this form helpers is now I've added select block, so you can do selects. I've added a text area, so you can do text areas. The other thing is there's a method now for creating the options for the select. And then there's also, I'll show you something that's pretty cool, is I revamped or added additional functionality to the error handling for forms. So now it can display the form errors right below the actual inputs. Let me give you an example of what that looks like real quick. So if I go and let me go log out, go to register, and I hit register here. So now I've removed, now it's still there, you can still use it because I left it on the login form, but you know how we had this top deal that compiled all the errors and put them here. In addition to that, I've added the ability to easily add those errors as text underneath each field. And I can show you how to do that. It's super simple now to do this. But basically, there is a new parameter on these form helpers, and it's optional. But you can pass in the form errors as an additional parameter on all of these. So say like the input block here, I pass the errors, and then what this does is it actually goes through and it'll actually add the class if there's an error to the surrounding div. And then I added a help block under a span tag, which is a help block underneath the input, and it uses this static method to parse those form errors and get the form error and display it there. That's how you do it. But to actually look at what the code looks like when you actually go to use it, it's real simple, because if I just go to register here, come on. If I just go to register here, then all I had to do is I already had that display errors set up from my controller, but I just had to add that as another parameter on the end of these form helpers. You don't have to do that, but if you want them to display underneath there, you just pass it into the form helper, and then when there's an error, it'll just display it in line with the input. So I hope that makes sense. Enough rambling. One thing I'm going to do, just because now my editor is so mad, I'm going to try to shut down Atom, and I'm going to reopen it, and hopefully, since I've disabled that plugin, come on. Can't believe this. I shouldn't have tried to install a freaking package. I'm just gonna, let's see, disable that as well. Hopefully that'll take care of it. I don't know which, I'm not really sure which plugin's causing that error to pop up, but we'll find out. All right, so when we left off in the last video, we were working on our form to add products to the database. And so we had talked about wanting to add a Wysiwyg editor to our, we wanted to add, you know what, everybody keeps telling me to use VS Code, and I've tried to install VS Code on my Mac and on my Linux machine, and every time I try to install it, the install fails. So they've got problems too, so it's not just Atom. And Atom's working really smooth on my Mac, and it usually works good here. I just don't have all the packages loaded in that I want to load in. But at any rate, I'll get you guys a list of the packages that I use that all work well together. Yeah, I disabled that IDE PHP package. I'm not sure why it's still doing that, but all right. So we were talking about wanting to add a Wysiwyg to the body so that we can add our descriptions and have some nice looking markup there. So we're going to do that. And then I thought we would go into file uploads, and we're going to talk about file uploads and create a way for us to validate the files the best we can. We're going to talk a little bit about security with file uploads and servers and things like that. But ultimately, we're just going to keep pressing on as far as we can get, and hopefully we can get through the Wysiwyg body, and we can get through some of the other stuff that we want to get through today too, which you guys can tell I'm not on my A game today, sorry. All right, so let's go ahead and go to TinyMCE, and you can download this and install it if you'd like. Just for ease of use, I'm going to go ahead and just use their CDN to load it in. So I'm just going to copy that. So I went to TinyMCE, and I just went to their quick start guide just to quickly get this thing working. We can go in and modify this and do all kinds of configuration later if we want. But just to get a bare bones setup working, let's go ahead and do that. So once you've copied that CDN, now keep in mind, if you use a CDN to load in this package, it's going to make a separate HTTP request every time you load the page that uses it. So I don't want to just stick this in my default head on my thing, because I don't want this to load every single time any of my pages load. I actually just want it to load when I need it. So in order to do that, we're going to add this into our view file. And so what you do is you go to views, and we're working in the admin products, and then we have the add.php. And so what I'm going to do is right here, you see where we have the body started. I'm going to go, and above that, I'm going to go ahead and do the head. So you can do start head skip down a few lines, and we'll do this end. And then I'm going to paste that code we just got from TinyMCE here. All right. Come on. This is getting so old. I guess they're just going to make me actually uninstall that package, which is ridiculous. So, uninstall terminal, uninstall that, and install. Now this should be the way I started the video, and this wasn't doing it before I installed any of that, so hopefully won't have any more issues with this. Alright, so far so good. I guess you have to actually uninstall that stuff. Alright, so this script right here is going to load this from the CDN, and let's just see if that's working. Let's go to the front end, and we're going to go to that register page. So let me log back in here. All right. Yeah, that stuff is all useful. I have it working, but I just didn't want to keep ruining my video with errors, JJ. That is a useful plugin as well. Although I have found like it work if I use the terminals that are like loaded inside of my editors, and I'm doing something like running the PHP unit on all my unit tests. Sometimes it'll run out of memory, and it doesn't do that in the terminal that's disjointed from the editor. So I'm not really sure what the deal is with that, but at any rate, let's go to products, add product. And what I want to do here is I'm going to view the page source. And what I want to show you guys is because we added that like this, we created the start, and then I'm going to go ahead and tab that. Because we added this in the head on the view, this actually injects it into our layout up here in the head. So now right here at right before the closing head tag, it's inserted that CDN, so it's loaded in TinyMCE there. The other thing that we'll need to do is we need to add our text area. So here we need a big old text area that it can attach to, and so to do that, like I said, I've created a new form helper. So go ahead and open up the form, and right here we'll do form helper text area block, and then let's see. So the text area block, this is why I love actually having that stuff set up and working, because I wouldn't have to look at my parameters here. It would just pull it up for me. So we need label, name, and then value. Alright, so label is just going to be body. The name is also going to be body. And the value is going to be this product body. Alright, and then for a class, for our input, let's just do, and it doesn't much matter here because this is going to get kind of replaced, but we'll just do, just to make sure we don't have any weird padding issues or anything like that, we'll just do form control, and then for our surrounding div, we're going to also give that a form group. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give this thing a starting attribute of rows, and we're going to put, I don't know, 6, or we'll see what that looks like. We might do more. All right, and like I said, we also, because of we can also pass this display errors as another parameter to the end of this. So I'm going to do that for all of these real quick. I'm going to copy and paste that. right. I'll refresh. All right, so now we have an error. Undefined property body. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on there. That's going to be a problem in our actual model. Let's go ahead and look there. Yes, and that's because we have not added body yet. So we'll go ahead and add that here. I'm going to add it right after the description. And that probably means that we have not added that in the database yet either. I'm going to open up phpMyAdmin. And we'll go to products, structure. Yeah, we haven't added that. So what we'll do is let's add a column. And this one is going to be called body. And we're going to give this is going to be a text field. Okay. Null on there. All right, so now that shouldn't error out. Go back, refresh. All right. Got a little bit of styling issues, which we'll take care of. So now that we have this body here, we can actually replace this with the editor. And the way we do that is we go back to TinyMCE, and they've given us that code. Basically, we just need to add some script tags that initializes that. So, there. And back in our add right here, probably had to put this in a hook too. We'll see. And then they're looking for the ID. We could do ID as well. So I'm just gonna, the ID of that will be body. All right. So they didn't give us many options out of the box here, and we got this stupid domain is not registered thing with the cloud, and that's probably because well, I know it's because we are using the CDN instead of downloading it, and that's just kind of how they kind of get you to pay for their cloud services. Although TinyMCE is open source. And another thing is we need to talk about licensing. So if you guys decide to use something else besides TinyMCE, that's totally fine to do. But I want you to know that you need to look at the license that is packaged with whatever Wysiwyg you're doing. Because a lot of them have a GPL license, which is open source. And if you're creating source code, say for a closed source thing, or for your job, you would actually have to, if you use anything in there that has a GPL license, you actually have to make your source code, all of it, open source. And so not many places want their source to be open source. So you need to be looking for stuff that has a really unrestricted license. The best one to look for is an MIT license. And MIT is a license basically that it is open source. You can use it freely, even on commercial products, but you don't have to give away your source code for using it. You just have to include the license file. Okay. Which, by the way, I've licensed the framework now, Rua, and that has an MIT license. So you guys are free to use it and make money on it and everything else. So I've given it the most lenient license that it can have. You just have to include that license file, which it comes with it. So not a big deal. All right. So let's just take care of this issue with loading this from a CDN and this having this little drop down thing. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. JJ sent something over here. A little bit of code. I'm not sure what's different about it, but I'll take a look at it. We don't the thing is, we could just download this so we don't have to worry about loading it. I'm not sure what the dot 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 is there. This what I am gonna do, JJ, is I am just gonna go ahead and download it just in case people want to see that. So what we can do is go back to TinyMCE, and they have a link for the advanced install. You can do it through npm, through Composer, which we don't have Composer installed yet. Probably will, but then JJ would have to have it, add his namespaces back in. Let's see. All right. So I thought they had a download page somewhere on here. Oh, JJ, don't give out your API key on that, man. Let's not do that. That's not cool. Like if you're paying for that cloud thing and you give out the API key, let's just not do that. One thing we can do, even though I don't have the, I'll show you guys a little trick. I'm gonna copy this right here and open this up here, and then I'm just gonna copy that, and then let's go to the JS folder here in public, and we'll create a new file. I'm just gonna call it tinymce.min.js. Paste all that stuff that we just copied, and then back in our products form, instead of including that, we'll just include our project root JS TinyMCE. All right, let's see if that works. Dang it. Okay. Dang it. I gotta find their... I don't want to use Node. I thought they had just a... Do you guys know... Oh, there's no download, so they're right. All right, so screw it. Let's go ahead and get Composer going, I guess, because we might end up using it later for SDKs for our payment gateways anyway. So why not? So let's look up Composer and click on the Get Started stuff. You guys will need to look if you're using Windows or Mac or whatever. There's all kinds of different stuff there. I don't want to use your API key. JJ, sorry, I'm not trying to be rude. It's just that this is useful stuff for us to do anyway. We're going to need Composer, because when we get to using Stripe, or if we use authorize.net, or if we use PayPal or anything like that for our payment gateways for the store, they're all going to have PHP SDKs that Composer will make it super easy to install. And then we can the best part about it is then we can update and everything like that along with them. So Not sure why PHP didn't work there. Wonderful. Oh, we gotta install the command line, so just real quick. PHP 7.2.cli. So my computer is like a complete fresh install. There's a lot of stuff missing, so you guys get to see a little bit of Linux awesomeness. What is awesome about Linux is it just told me everything that I needed to do, like, and I just missed it, but it's all right there. Guys, just hang tight with me. Please don't leave. We'll get it going. I mean, we would have had to go through this at some point. I promise. Everything that I'm doing, needed to be done. And since we'll have Composer for this, I actually like Composer a lot anyway. It's just a package. If you don't know what Composer is, it's a package manager for PHP, really similar to like Node. Well, it's not similar to Node, but it's PHP's version of like npm Node package manager. Alright, so it's successfully installed Composer now. So then we go here. This could have manually downloaded it there, but alright, so now that we have Composer installed, let's go back and did it not unlink that? Alright. Now we need to create the JSON file, but you can see here that Composer is working correctly. Alright, so let's go now and figure out what we need to do. So let's see. We'll need a JSON file. I'll go ahead and delete that. All right. So I wonder if Composer has I don't know why I installed HHVM RTOR. I think just because it told me to, so I didn't want it to have another missing package. I could have tried it without it, but anyways. All right. I want to go and look at this now, the TinyMCE, and they had advanced install, and they had a Composer option. All right, so they gave us that right there, and paste that. I actually haven't used Composer in a long time. All right, so after that, I think what we have to do is actually run the install script, because they have a lock file. So here's our JSON file. The only thing in there right now is TinyMCE, but I think we have to run actual Composer now to actually. Oh wait, maybe it did it for us. Oh, nice, cool. All right, so there it is. So let's go ahead now and go back to this, and we're probably close to being done. Just need to update the path. And let's see, that was in vendor. All right. So go back to the add.php, and now instead of JS, we're looking for vendor TinyMCE and TinyMCE. So let's see how far we get with that. Not very far. Nice. Oh, I see. All right, so it's actually trying to load that in, but it's taking us to, you do not have permission to access this page. The reason it's doing that is because of our htaccess file. So what we need to do is probably open that back up, and we need to add, we'll just add it in here, another pipe, and just put vendor. I think that's all we need to do. Live vendor. Let's see. I've obviously done something wrong here. Vendor TinyMCE. Copy project path. Oh. There we go. All right. So I had my path wrong. Two JavaScript developers walked into a veritable bar. All right. So, all right, guys. So here's what we got. We have TinyMCE. We installed it through Composer. If you missed all that, me stumbling through that. Haven't done that in a long time, but here we are. We finally got it loaded. We have some different init stuff here. Probably not going to spend too much time since that took us a while to get that working. If you guys want to add more options to the Wysiwyg, we can absolutely do that. But one thing I am going to do is I think there's a option called brand, and if you set that to false, you see this powered by Tiny down here at the bottom. I think it gets rid of that. Let me see. Let me search branding. Oh, it's branding, not brand. So let me change that. And refresh. And now you can see TinyMCE is gone. All right, so I do apologize for me stumbling around, but guys, guess what? You know, when I first started these live series, I said we're going to do all the research together. We're going to make all the mistakes together. And I'm not backing down on that, because if I would have done this at home, I would have done this all ahead of time, and then I would have just copied my code that I did before I came in, and then you guys wouldn't have learned how to solve your own problems. And so you got to watch me stumble through there, but I'm sure you either knew it already or learned something. We'll leave TinyMCE open right now, the website, just in case we want to change some more configuration later. And so that's it. No, we don't have to require the yeah, you were right about the wrong path, JJ, but we don't have to require our composer.json, because actually this composer script right here that runs, the PHP script, that actually it's just in the same directory as that. And so that's the only thing that's going to use that. This stuff here is actually not going to be used at all by our application. If we add more PHP to this vendor, not just that TinyMCE library, we'll need to look at this auto load stuff. So that is one thing that you're probably thinking of when you were thinking of that, but we will have to do that. Status bar false, menu bar false. Yeah, maybe we'll add some of that, maybe not. The thing is I actually kind of like this menu bar. If we add more like plugins and stuff here, for instance, it can have like more advanced stuff here and stuff. I don't know. We'll play with it, but for now, what we're trying to do is just insert a freaking product into our database. And so let's just go ahead and test it real quick. I'm going to add new price is going to be $15.99. List price is going to be $52.23. Shipping be $12.99. And then let's just do some stuff here. Let's do H1 tags. My awesome product, man. And then we'll do but seriously, it is kind of cool. All right, let's just see what happens here. Now, so we're running all these functions when we, I do want to show you one more security thing too that I added to the framework. But before this gets saved to the database, it's getting run through HTML entities. So it will kind of mess up these tags, okay? So that is going to be an area of concern. Let's see what happened on our save here. All right, body. Oh, okay. We just haven't done the redirect stuff yet, so I'm going to delete one of these. Let's go ahead and look at this body. You can see that it's gone through end quotes to store it in our database. So we were not going to be able to just like print that back to the screen. So we'll have to reverse that before we print it back, and even before we load this back into the page. So say we were going to use the same form to edit this, that will actually break all of this. So we're gonna have to actually run that back through the function that reverses the HTML entities. Not a big deal, but it's a good idea to store it in a database like that. Although the thing is like ultimately this isn't front facing, and it'll never be front facing. It is protected by login, so somebody would have to like, and that it's possible for someone to hack someone else's account, especially if they're using crappy passwords, and you guys can protect against that stuff a little bit too. But I don't know, we'll just leave the HTML entities on this. It'd be easier for us to not do it, but I think it's important to just go ahead and do it. Let me get a drink here real quick. I'm insanely tired today. My brain's dead. I want to show you guys something really cool. So if you look in the controller, we have this assign right here, and I'm lazy, so the safest way, actually, when you're taking input from a form, the safest way to make sure someone's not doing anything goofy, like sending an ID or anything like that, and actually, because of this assign method, actually overriding anything you don't want them to override. So let's say this product had a price, and the price wasn't a field that's on the form. Well, they could create a field and just guess that it was called price, and then submit that, you know, inside. They could use, like, even just pop open the inspector and add it there, and they could actually manipulate that because of this assign. It's just taking all the requests, and if it exists as a parameter on here, it just blindly adds it, and that's not really a good idea. The best thing to do, to be 100% sure, is instead of saying, you know, product assign, you would say product, and then you would do each thing. So you'd say body, and then you'd say this request get body, okay? And you wouldn't give them the ability to actually override anything that you're not intending for the form to have overwritten, like an ID or something like that. But I'm so lazy that in most cases, and I just like the code to look a lot cleaner with this assign thing, that I added something called a blacklist to this. So let's go and look at that real quick. If you go to core and model, go down to the assign method. There it is. So now there's two new parameters here, and they're optional parameters, but if you pass an array of fields into this list, it's going to not allow the assign to update any of those. Let me give you an example of what I mean. So if I go in inside this controller, and in this assign, I pass it an array, and I say, hey, I don't want you can assign everything, but I don't want you to assign the price, and I don't want you to assign the shipping, okay? Then what's going to happen is what we'll do, just so we don't keep adding this stuff, let me just go ahead and use core H, and then here what I want to do is I'm just going to do H dump and die, and we'll dump and die the product. Okay, so the way it works is like this. If I go back here and I click save, then if we go down and look at the actual parameters or the attributes within this object, you can see that, well, that's the user object. Let me see. Here it is. Here's the object properties right here. So if you look, shipping is null, even though we had it in the field, and also price is null. And that's because when the assign ran, it looped through those. It actually skipped those because they're blacklisted. In some cases, you might actually, the list of stuff you're blacklisting might be longer than a whitelisting. So instead, what you can do is say, hey, I only want price and shipping, and then you can pass a third parameter, and I believe you just pass false there. Let me double check that real quick. So blacklist is true. So if you do false for the third parameter, then this becomes the whitelist. So it's a blacklist by default. If you pass false as a third parameter, this becomes a whitelist. And now what happens is only these things are allowed like this. So now let's try it out. We'll go back and we'll just refresh to repost that information. And now only price and shipping are set because the assign skipped over everything else. So it's a whitelist and a blacklist. So I gave you the ability to do it both ways. And so Khalil says, this is totally my opinion, but I think allow lists make more sense than blacklist. The fields that are be updated. Yeah, so either way, it's a little bit of a maintenance issue. And so that's why I gave you the ability to do both. Let me explain what I mean by that. So let's say later we've built out the products in the database, and we're like, hey, we want to add a new field to the form. Well, then if you have it in a whitelist, you still have to remember to go add the new field to the whitelist, or it won't add it. The other thing you would have to do is if it's a blacklist and you're not adding something new that's damaging, so say like the only things that I'm like, hey, we don't want, the reason that I chose blacklist as default is because I think keeping a list of blacklisted items is a shorter list in most cases, because I don't want them manipulating the ID. I don't want them manipulating maybe, you know, the user ID that's attached to it, or the vendor ID or something like that from the form. And so I could just have those two, and then if I add new fields later, they're automatically whitelisted because they're not part of the blacklist. But yeah, so however you want to do that, guys, you have the ability. It's just a parameter. What I would say is just for code, the thing I would say just for organization of code is, instead of keeping this here, what I would probably do in most instances, and this won't always work out for you, is let me close some of this crap. I got so much stuff open. I would actually go to the model, and I would actually put a static property, or even a constant here. So what you can do is just say const blacklist, something like that, and then set that up as an array. And then what I can say is, hey, I don't want shipping to be manipulated, and I don't want price. And then this lives on the model, and then wherever you use it on multiple, because you might need to define this in multiple places in a controller, because you might have AJAX requests or things like that that are all calling different actions, and you don't want to have to type this out or add this every time you do an assign. So rather, what you could do is, instead of doing it like this, then you would just say, because you already have products defined here, you just say products, and then you would say blacklist, like that. And then now if I refresh this, so now these are whitelisted again, because I left this as false. So now if I go back, I'm gonna resubmit that form. Now it just doesn't submit price or shipping. So that, you guys can, like I said, it's just code organization. To me, it makes sense to put that stuff in the model, because it has to do with protecting the database or the data of that table. So, I like putting it there. It is, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it is really storming bad outside. All right, so go ahead and get rid of this dump and die. And for blacklist for now, I'm gonna put let's close this model. I'm gonna go ahead and add just some real things here. For now, I'm just gonna do ID. Let me look at the table too. So we have in our products table, deleted ID. For now, that's all I care about, because basically this is going to be stuff that's set on the back end of the website. If I had other areas, I might, if you're doing something that's really forward facing, so it's no authentication at all, and you're really worried about just bots and other things that are constantly attacking your sites, what you could do is, instead of using a sign, which is kind of let me put it this way. A sign is easy, and it's one line of code, and it updates all your properties. But with convenience also comes the ability to screw something up, or allow things to be screwed up. So if it were really forward facing, I would be tempted to define every single property that I'm setting in the controller, and only those, and not use the assign if it's real forward facing. You might consider doing that for your login or your registration forms, things like that, or at least keep up with the blacklist. At any rate, I hope you guys enjoy that, and at least understand why I added that for the assign thing. So we're gonna do, I don't want deleted posted there either for my assign. And then, okay, so we have all of this. Let's see, what time is it? 8 o'clock. So what do you guys think? You guys think we should, jump into uploading images for products? Since you watched me stumble around through the composer stuff, we might as well do some more stumbling around and getting the uploads working. That'd be fun. So I'm gonna switch back over to my camera because before we start uploading images, I want to talk to you guys about security a little bit. All right. So at a high level, what we're going to do tonight is probably not the best thing to do. Let me explain. When you're using a shared hosting account or just hosting files on your server, it's generally not a good idea to allow users to upload. It's generally not a good idea to allow users or just the open world out there to just upload files to your server. Because it's not even a good idea to have permissions set for any files so that PHP can upload files, because if you're on a shared hosting server, it's even possible for other scripts and stuff to upload, and it's not a good idea, because if you can upload anything, oh man, you can really get into some trouble. I mean, basically a PHP script could be disguised as an image or something and uploaded into your uploads directory, and they can do data mining. They can destroy your entire site. They can destroy your database. They can take all the information from your database, things like that. So it's generally the best when you're uploading stuff to upload it to a cloud service that's separate from your server. I know, like, we use Amazon S3 at work. We also use Google Cloud, some of their services, because we actually use the Google. Well, we use Kubernetes on Google servers, and we do all the load balancing and spin up all of our instances and stuff like that on Google. And then all of our files are stored on S3, and we have a database that keeps track of all those URLs, like a product's images table or uploads table, and the uploads keeps track of the user ID that uploaded it and things like that. And then what you can do is you can upload that stuff, and then you can run slower scripts on all those files later on, like antivirus scripts and things like that. And I think Amazon's other service, and the name of it is escaping me right now, not S3, but their other data storage stuff, they actually run antivirus for you. There is an antivirus software that you can install locally on your server and run it. It's called PHP and I think it was based off of the ClamAV library. And so it has those virus definitions. But it's real slow. And so when you get into uploading stuff, it's going to add a lot of time to your uploads to check it real time with your uploads. So what you could do is you can actually upload it to a temporary directory that's not part of your server directory tree, and then run the scripts. And then once it passes the antivirus thing, you can then move it. But again, I'm just saying all this because I don't want anybody coming back to me and saying, "Hey man, we followed your upload stuff and our server got trashed." And listen, I'm telling you right now, if you're doing this on a commercial product, probably should use some sort of other alternative. Amazon S3 is not cheap, and Google's even more expensive. So for what we're going to do tonight, just to kind of get the basics down, and because it's at least behind, this isn't going to be a forward-facing thing where just anybody can go onto the site and upload files. We're going to be uploading directly to our server. Okay. There's a couple reasons for this. One, a lot of what we're learning will apply if you decide to go to S3. It's just that one little line of code instead of the move uploaded file function that PHP has. You'll call upload to S3 function from some sort of SDK library that you install from S3 or from Amazon, right, on our composer that we just added. And so it's really not much more work. You can still do all the validation and things like that, but instead of putting it on a local server, you can send it on. So if you guys are going to go and use this for a client or anything like that, you need to explain to them exactly what they're getting into if they're allowing images or files to be uploaded. Now we're going to do our best to do a little bit of validation to make sure what they're uploading is what we're expecting. In this case, images. We're going to make sure these are actually images the best that we can to make sure they're not doing something silly like spoofing the MIME type to say, hey, this is a JPEG, and it gets uploaded to our server and it's actually a PHP script. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of that. But I just wanted to preface all of this by saying this is not best practice, okay, what we're going to do. The best practice is store everything that users upload on a separate server, a separate storage device, something that's not connected to your database in any way, something that's not connected to your server in any way, okay? That's best case. All right, does that make sense, guys? Are we all tracking with that? All right. So there's so much lag tonight. Probably a good 30 seconds or more between when I'm saying it and it's going to you guys. And I don't know if that's because of the internet connection or the storm. Usually it's a lot faster than that. So it's really hard for me to have a real-time conversation with you guys. So if it seems like I'm ignoring you or it takes me a long time to reply to your comments, it's probably just because I've moved on to something else about that. JJ asked, what do I think about Nextcloud? Honestly, JJ, I've never looked at Nextcloud. Like I said, my experience has been with S3 and Google Cloud. So if there's cheap options out there, I'm open to looking into those. And so I might do some research on that. I'm glad that you brought that up. So if you guys know some stuff that's like way cheaper to use other than S3 and Google, let me know in the comments. And what we'll do tonight is we'll upload it to our local servers because we're just building this on our dev machines anyway. And so for testing and all that, it's just all going to be right here. But like I said, it's going to be changing one line of code to basically, instead of storing it on our servers, to store it somewhere else. All right. Nextcloud, huh? So I'll take a look at that. Not on this stream, obviously, because I've already done enough fumbling around, and we're going to do more probably through this. All right, so let's go ahead and add the ability to, let's just create our, we're going to go step by step. So adding our form input first. And it's important to note that you have to have your form, let's see, let me go to my views, admin products. We'll open up our form. And so your form tag has to be, the encode type here has to be multi-part form data. If this isn't set, then uploading files is not going to work for you. Okay? High Sighting to the Moon says, thank you for the MVC tutorial. Hey, you're absolutely welcome. I enjoyed that series. I mean, it took a long time. There's almost 70 videos, and actually I'm going to be adding another video because everybody keeps asking me how to do Ajax with this, and it's so easy, but I think I can see why people might be having a hard time doing Ajax request, primarily because of the way our views and everything are loading, and we have HTML being returned, and that'll mess up an Ajax request. So Steve says, is it possible to use two different databases at once? Yes and no. It's possible. They have what is called like a read-write. So you can have a master and a slave. And so a lot of times, so that you can split up load. The problem with using multiple databases, you can imagine it would get out of sync. Um, and so to get out of sync, you're talking about timestamps. When things happen so fast, like timestamps would be off. Data could be updated on one database and not the other. And so generally speaking, when there's an issue with like a server taking too much load, so let's say I had a Kubernetes setup or something like that where I had 7 instances of my server running, and I had a load balancer that was directing traffic to all these different instances. Did I didn't even put it back on my screen to show you guys, but anyways, it might be to where I have all these different servers that are handling a lot of traffic, and all of those instances are all pointing to my database. And that could be catastrophic because your database is going to be taking a lot more traffic than any of the other instances because all 7 of those instances are pointing at your database. So what they do sometimes is they'll have like a read and a write database, or multiple reads and only one write database, and then your master database is in charge of updating the read databases. So when you do all your pulling, when you do all of your your queries and stuff like that to like load data, you're reading from a read database, but the only time you touch the write database is like when you're writing data. So it significantly lowers traffic to that. So it is possible to do that, but it's usually through some sort of service that's set up in order to do that. Okay, so you're not probably going to be able to create 2 database instances on your local server or machine and connect to them both simultaneously without having some issues. You could segment, and so say part of your stuff is on one database and part of another. I don't really know why you would do that, because as far as like performance, like the database, if you write in your queries well, your database performance is going to be great with MySQL. I mean, MySQL can handle a lot of data. You're not going to have to worry about it. I mean, you get up to millions and millions of rows in each table and stuff like that. It's fine. You just really need to worry about constructing your joins and your stuff really smart, so that you're not using extra resources to do that stuff. So Khalil says he doesn't think Steve's talking about replication. He thinks he's meaning like MySQL and Mongo. Again, like, so the way that you would connect to those would be through PDO, and I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm not sure if PDO can handle multiple connections. It very well could. You could create a Mongo connection with PDO and a MySQL connection with PDO. The question comes into like, what part of your code using what, and in what situations. And so I think I don't know. I just don't know why you would do that. I've heard a lot of people using separate databases for like caching purposes, in order to get stuff quicker, like bigger data and stuff like that. So they'll use like, say, a Redis database, Redis instance, where they'll cache a lot of stuff, and it's like stuff that can be destroyed and rebuilt at any time. Because Redis is insanely fast, because Redis runs entirely in memory. But I don't know why you would connect to MySQL and Mongo. So that's something you guys could look up and tell me. I don't have a use for that right now. Honestly, I don't know why you'd want to do that. So at any rate, okay, saving it. Okay, so images aren't going to get saved in the database, and we're not going to do that because it is possible to save. You guys can actually save binary to the database as a type, but wow, things get really messy when you do that. And so we're not going to be storing our images in a database. The images are going to be stored in a file. They are files. They're going to be stored on the server in the hard drive, just like your PHP file, right? And so and I know it's, guys, it's possible. I'm just telling you, at some point you're gonna start crying if you're putting your files as rows in a database. All right. Um, I just don't think that's a long-term strategy that's good. Um, Also, you start getting into some weird things with database types. So like, um, if I don't know, I just don't like storing binary in a database. I think it's also really weird when you start like doing like queries and searches and stuff like that. I think it's much faster. So Khalil says he has experience with that, doing it in a mobile app API. Says he used Mongo for a chatting part. Uh, is faster than MySQL when it's handling very large unstructured data. It can be. Um, I know it was really popular to use like NoSQL databases for a while. I can tell you that people are starting to reverse that and go back to MySQL because a properly structured MySQL database can be more performant um, than like a MongoDB and stuff like that. It is good for like, big data and stuff like that. And if you're talking about not having to do a bunch of joins and stuff like that, it can be useful. But again, um, man, it's just, especially, I don't know. Again, we keep coming back to these conversations where we're arguing about, not arguing, but we're having a discussion about what database structure is better and all that. And I can tell you guys that it is really going to depend on the app that you're building. I think MySQL serves this purpose really, really well for the shopping cart situation. And there's going to be so many other things that can slow down your application other than the database. It's probably not the database. Honestly, like I know some people, just the way you even connect to a database can slow it down. For example, let me show you what I mean by that, and then we're really going to move on. So in the config file, you'll notice that in the DB host, I have it set with an IP address. And I've seen a lot of people, especially because if you go to like HostGator or something like that, or they'll give you your database host as a domain name instead of an IP address. And if you do that, it actually will add at least 100 milliseconds to every database connection. And that's because that happens because it has to do a DNS lookup. It doesn't know the IP address that it's connecting to. So it actually has to do a DNS lookup and then get the IP address and then do the connection. So it's always, always, always recommended, especially with PDO, that you're using an IP address to do your database connection instead of a domain name. Even if they give you the domain, do a DNS query yourself, look up the IP address and plug it in. You know what I'm saying? And make sure it's kind of a static and not a dynamic IP address that'll change. But if you're using something that's always going to be a dynamic IP and it changes often, okay, you might have to use a domain, but it's probably the DNS lookup is going to kill you much more than the choice between MySQL and Mongo. So anyhow, don't do the DNS lookup when you're connecting to databases, right? So that's a tip that can speed up your database. Also, just format your queries correctly. So when you're building out your database queries, the order by which you're doing your wheres matters. And so let's say we had a database and it had millions of rows in it, and we format it and we say, hey, give me all my products that have this in the description. And then we say, and the user ID and the user ID is equal to 2493. Well, that's going to be a lot slower than if you would have ran it the other way and said where user ID is equal to 2493 and the description has this in it, right? Because it can limit that down where it's doing when it starts to because what really slows down queries is like when it starts like looking through big text things and it's trying to compare like does this exist inside this text string, when it's doing those sorts of searches, that's a little bit slower than it looking at an integer. So you format your where clauses in a very specific order to narrow them down as quick as possible before doing your checks on the text. Okay, and by doing so, you'll speed up your database queries. The other thing is, with your database queries, you also want to make sure that you're not getting all the any information you don't need. So only grab the columns that you're going to be using. I see so many people, because they're lazy, and I'm lazy, and I'll do this a lot, and I do it a lot, but they do select star for everything. And they'll go and join a bunch of tables together, and they're like, get me everything from this row, give me everything from this row, and then they'll use one column from this join table, one column from this join table, and they don't use any of the rest of this stuff. And that's just, I mean, a lot of people, like in the development world, spend their time rewriting queries to help performance, and it's always because the developer has chosen to choose his own comfort over making a very performant query. So sometimes you write big long queries that take up a lot of room on the screen, but they're very performant, and that's better code, honestly, than a one little line that's slow. I'd rather have to read through a long query that's perfect and runs the most efficient way as possible than a crappy query. Anyways, we'll get off that subject for now. We need to add, in our form here, we need to add our input for our file. So this input, the type, is going to be a file, and then we're going to do multiple. So you just give it a multiple attribute here, and we'll give this thing name. Let's call this product images. We'll give it an ID of the same thing. All right, and we might as well, while we're at it, all right, so see, the class for this is, I think it's control label, maybe something like that. Control. I don't use Bootstrap all that often because we have all of our own custom classes. I actually use Sass and a lot of custom CSS at work, so you guys are probably more familiar. I spent a lot of time with Bootstrap, but it's just remembering all these. Oh, guys, I'm so sorry. Thank you for reminding me. JJ, thank you, man. Again, let me see here. There's all right, so let's see. In form helpers, the label is control label. Yeah, I was correct on that. So control label. All right, so we have, you guys missed it because I didn't change my screen, so I apologize. But all I've done for now is, and we might add a form helper for this, but basically I've added the label and the input. So I'll let you guys look at that. Basically, just the type has to be file. There's an attribute called multiple so that we can upload multiple files at once. And then the name and ID. and then I just give it a label with a class control label, so it kind of matches our other styles. We'll probably add some more stuff in for error handling and stuff like that, but I do apologize that I didn't switch my screen. And if we were closer to real time, I would have caught it sooner, but I'm like at least 30 seconds to a minute ahead of you guys. All right, so I need to get some. I don't think I have any images on this computer, so let's go, and I'm gonna do board games because I like board games. But you guys can do whatever the heck you want. I'm gonna rob some board game images from Amazon. I'm just gonna grab a couple, guys. Don't worry, I'm not gonna spend all day doing this. And just one more. Whoops. All right, and 3. All right, so now that I have a few images, let's jump into back over here, and let's jump into our controller action. And what I want to do is, if this is post, what I'm going to do a dump and die, and we are going to look at the files super global there. And so let me grab these here. All right. Product images. It looks like only one of them. Let's see. Artur, good night, guys. Yeah, we'll continue to have a good time. Get some sleep, man. Thank you for all your help, Artur. Everybody tell Artur thank you for all of his work on the front end site. You guys haven't seen that yet, but we'll get it wrapped up. And I will be contacting you this week, man. We'll get together again. All right. I don't know why. Only seem to upload one of them. What did I do wrong, guys? All right. Let me just double check to make sure I just selected more than one. So it says 3 files. Usually what it does is it sends an array . You know what? I love how you guys are almost good morning. Yeah. I want to say something to you guys real quick. Artur, just before you head off, man, listen to this. Listen real quick. Let me jump back on my screen here. Listen. Here's one thing. I meant to tell you guys this at the beginning of the video, and I was all flustered because my internet was messed up. But listen, here's the thing. I hear so many people moaning and complaining about how their life is going crappy and how they hate their job and how they don't like anything they're doing and they wish they can do something else with their lives. And then they go home at night and they sit down after work, after working the job that they hate. They go home, they eat a meal maybe, and then they sit there and watch TV or play a video game or do some sort of like other entertainment, and they don't do anything different, and they just expect that their life's going to magically get better. And I applaud everyone here and all the hard work that you guys are putting in to this, because you guys are doing something about your lives. You're always better in your life. You guys are staying up late, getting up early, in many cases both, in order to make your life better. And a lot of people have asked me like how I get so much done, and they wanted some advice from me. Listen, I don't have much advice other than this. I don't screw around. I get stuff done and I continuously do the best that I can every single day. You know why? Because I'm always wanting to move forward. I never want to move backwards, and I'm so proud of you guys for getting up and doing the hard work that it takes to become a developer and to become a better developer and to even get big freelance jobs or to go out and get a job. You guys have to be better all the time. We have to make each other better. And so we could all sit around and watch TV or go out and party and drink ourselves into complete numbness to where we don't even care if we like our lives or not, or we can continue to grow. And so I want to encourage you guys, never give up on that. Even if you stop developing or don't want to go further with developing, never stop growing. Never stop putting in the extra work, because this may not pan out for you. You may not get paid to be a developer someday. But I'll tell you what's not going to change. You're not going to be a developer someday by sitting on your butt not working. So I want to thank you guys for putting in the work. I want to thank you for being here. And I want to thank every single one of you for doing what it takes to be better. Okay? And I encourage you guys to help other people make their lives better. I can't stand listening to people whine and complain about their lives and then they don't do anything about it. You have to work at it. You have to make the world around you better if you want your life to be better, and it takes work. You can't sit around doing it. So anyways, good night, Artur. You might have already left, but thank you guys for listening to me rant. But I just wanted to applaud you guys and tell you guys that I'm proud of you, and that you guys are getting up at 3 in the morning or staying up till 3 in the morning to do this, and I know where you're coming from. I don't take that lightly, and it means a lot to me, and I'm not going to let you guys down, okay? I'm going to make sure you guys continue to grow and learn, and I'm going to continue to grow and learn, and I'm going to screw some stuff up, and you're going to screw some stuff up, but that's what it's like being a developer. So anyways, with that, we'll get back to the screen. I just wanted to tell you guys thank you, and I do honestly appreciate everything that you guys do and all the hard work you're putting in. And Artur, especially you, you're going above and beyond. So you guys keep it up. Keep it up. Never give up. This gets hard at times, you know? Sometimes, like right now, I don't know why the heck my stupid product images aren't displaying. But I'm not going to give up. I'm just going to keep doing the same thing. And then eventually I'm going to look on something else and figure out what the hell is going on here. You know what else? I wonder if I got to do anything weird like this. Not that, but here. I don't know if that's true, but I should rename the field. Did I do it wrong? Type of file. That files array should really be multiple arrays. Let me see if you guys figured out. Yeah, I tried that with files and the array thing. I don't think you have to do that. It could be something with my dump and die or something like that. So let me, instead of doing the dump and die, which actually I don't know why that would matter. Um, let's just do a straight. Um, will you marry me? I love you guys too, man. For real. Uh, yeah, I love you guys. I love you guys because we're people all over the world coming together, and we're all putting ourselves out there. And that's what it takes. Like, we could all just be hermits and let our governments and everything else tell us exactly how we should think about one another. But you know what? Screw that. We have the technology to connect one on one, and there's no government in the world that can tell us all how that we need to view each other. We can all love and respect one another regardless of our location or skin color or anything like that. So yeah, multiple equals multiple. I thought about that too. Some It could be a thing with Chrome where they're like, hey, you have to do that. Usually you can just stuff it in there, but I'm just gonna make sure there's not something crazy going on here with my dump and die. And I'm gonna comment out that save so I'm not adding to my database every time here. It's allowing me to upload to select 3, and usually if you don't have that multiple thing there, it won't even let you do that. Man, how completely let me see if anybody else's files array has only one file with multi upload. So it must be defined as an array. I tried that. All right. I guess I'll do that again. I don't know if maybe something happened. You guys saw me add that. So I'll add that too, but I actually don't think that's the problem. Yeah, I love the networking you guys are doing. Helping each other out. That's awesome. Now if somebody can help me figure this problem out here. It's only got one of the images. That's so stupid. What the hell? Let me try one more thing, I guess. Well, not try one more thing, but I mean, that's the entire files array. Um, well, I feel really dumb right now. I'm obviously missing something. Let's see. I don't know if it's because this is not the part I expected to have a problem with. This is ridiculous. I've done this 1,000 times. Oh, there we go. What in the world? I guess it was just I guess it existed. I think if you don't declare this, for some reason the var dump isn't showing. The var dump's not showing the whole thing. I don't know. All right, so well we know we have that now. So let's go ahead and create this. So what we need actually is a database table to add these to. So let's go ahead and create a new table, and let's call this table product underscore images. And 1, 2, 3. I'll just add a bunch here. All right, so we need an ID, be our auto increment, and then we'll do let's do display name. Well, we don't need that. Let's just do URL, and let's just make that varchar, and then we'll need size, name. So you don't really need all of this stuff. If we're doing an uploads table that's going to hold a lot of stuff, then maybe. But really, honestly, we could just do ID, URL, and then we need a product ID because we're going to join this on to products. So product ID, and then let's see, let's add deleted, and that's going to be a tiny int. Just do a size of 1 there. All right, URL, product ID, what else? I may be missing something, but we can come back and add to this as we need to. Let's go ahead and save that. Five stars for Khalil, yeah. Good job. So we have that. Now let's create our model. So go to app, and we need open up models, create new file, and call it product images.php, and then we'll open up some PHP tags, product images, extends model. We're going to have to do JJ's favorite thing here. We declare a namespace, and that has to be the first thing you do. So the namespace is going to be app models, and then we're going to use core model. So we had some public properties. We had ID, we had URL, let's see, product ID and deleted. And let's set deleted equal by default to 0. Set up our table. One thing I wanted to show you guys too, after this, I don't want to get too far off topic, but I changed the controllers where you don't have to construct the parent inside of a constructor when you create a controller. Let me just show you an example of that really quick. We'll come back to this. But I created an onConstruct hook so that it automatically constructs what it needs to with the parent. Well, it uses the parent's constructor when you construct the controller. So you don't need to explicitly tell it that, but if you need to do stuff on construct, now there's this onConstruct method, and that didn't exist before. So that's the way you'll do that in controllers now. But in models, we do need to construct our parent still. So let's see. Which I could do the same exact thing on construct. I probably will, but for now I didn't do that. So move this over here. All right, I always do that. Forget the 2 underscores on that. All right, so kind of want to. Okay, so the way that I plan on storing this stuff is I want to have in the public directory, I want to have an images or product images directory that we set up, and then we're going to segment that by product ID. And then what will happen is as we delete products, we can just delete an entire directory of images. Okay, so let's see. Let's do it inside of the app, and we'll say new folder. And no, we can't do it there. So what we'll have to do is we will add it. Let's look at our htaccess. So it can be in config, core, CSS, or JS. So instead, what we'll do is inside our root directory, create a directory called, I don't know, we'll just call it uploads. Okay, and let's add uploads here. Yep, and then what I want to do is inside uploads, I'm going to create a directory called product images. What did I do? Let's see. Oh, I searched in directory. One more time. Product images. And inside of here, I'm not going to create any more directories. We're going to do that when we upload the images. But just to show you what's going to happen is, let's say we have a product and the ID is 23. Then we're going to have, we'll have something like product underscore 23 as a directory. And then all of the images that go in there will be inside of that directory. So then if we go and delete the product 23, we'll want to clean this up so we're not wasting space on our server or whatever. There's 2 ways we can do it. We can do it on a hook where we do on delete or after delete or whatever. It goes in, or even before delete, deletes that and then deletes the deal. Or we could simply set up a cron or whatever to look through them, but we'll probably just do it after delete or before delete. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to delete that out of there. I just wanted to give you an example of what I was planning to do there. Must log off now, thank you. Went through 60 videos with the MVC, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna add one more video to that at least for the Ajax stuff, so keep an eye out for that. Keep coming back for the live videos, guys. Make sure you hit the bell notification so you're notified of when I do them. All right, so let's continue on with our deal here. What I want to do is we want to create a way for us to validate our images inside the model, and then we'll insert. So let's create a new public function, and then I'm just going to call it validate images. And this is going to take the images array. We'll pass that in. And then what we could do is, if we ever do any other updates, we'll extract this all out into its own class. But for now, we're only doing it in product images, so we're going to write it all right here. And so that is what we're going to do. So I know that there could be, you guys could be like, well, why aren't you putting that in its own class, or why isn't it in a validator? Well, we can do that, and we probably will do that. But for now, we'll write it here just to make it easy, and then we will do that later. All right. So what we'll do is it's going to take the images, and the images will be, you know what? I hate how it's structured. So if you looked, let's go back and look at that structure real quick. I want to show you that. So if you look at this, the way they do it in PHP, when this gets passed through the files array, each one, it's separated out. So you have the first image, you have the name. So what they do is they put the name, and then they do all the names as an array. And then they do the type, and then they do all the types as an array. And then temp name and size and all of that. I think that's like a crappy, it's really hard to loop through this as, you know, if we're going to do that. So what I want to do is restructure this array so that we can actually loop through it with a for each and have all the pertinent information for each file there. And so what we're going to do is, and you know what I'm going to do just to make our lives easier, is I'm going to go back to doing the dump and die here for now. And let's just refresh that so that we can see this easier. So now name is an array with 3 elements, type is an array with 3 elements. So let's go through and restructure that array. And we'll just set this up for here now, in here, and we will probably I'm gonna call this, well, we'll call that, and then we'll say files is equal to self restructure files, and then we'll pass down images to that. All right, so let's create our public static function that we can use later in other places. For now, I'm just putting it here, guys. I'm not saying we're going to keep it here, but it's just easier for me to see what's going on right here. And then it gets passed, files gets passed into this. And then what we do is we will set up a structured array here. Let's call it, put an empty array. And then what we're going to do is say for each files temp name. Is that what it is? Temp name. So for each file's temp name, as file. It doesn't matter what I'm probably not even going to use this. But what I want to do is, well, here's what I do need to do. As key, let's do key value. Who cares? Probably not going to use value at all. All right, so what I want to do now is take structured and we'll start building structured out. So we'll say structured, and we're going to add to that array. So structured is equal a new array, and this array is going to be let's see, temp name, and that's going to be files key temp name. All right, and I'm going to continue to just do this whole thing like this. It ended up with must have just typed that by default. Let's see what else is there. There's size, error. So name, type, size, and error. Let's just clean this up a little bit. I just think this makes it a little easier to deal with because it's just, I don't know, it's crappy, like the way that it's structured. Errors, no, it's just error. All right. We'll probably do two just to make sure this stays. I don't have to do this but let's just set that explicitly there. What am I missing? Error, size, temp name, type. All right, so now it's going to add that in this for each, and what we're going to do then is we're just going to return structured. So let's then come in here and let's do an H, dump and die, and make sure our files are structured the way that we want to. So let me use for H, and then we need to get rid of this dump and die here. Yeah, JJ, that's what I was talking about. Like, I'm going to do this in line now, and then we'll create a global class from this code. But for now, I'm just putting it all here because it's I'm going to have it all in one place. So I just want to, that's just how I want to do it for now, and then we will restructure the code later. So yeah, we'll refactor that to be a global class. Probably not. I don't know if I'm going to do. I'm probably not going to add it into the core. It'll probably just be a class that we add into the app. I don't know. We'll talk about that though. All right, so we have our files. So files is equal to that, and then what we're going to do is image. Crap. Let's say product image is equal to new product images. and then we'll use that product images. And then what we'll do is, for now, we're just going to run our product image, what do we call that? Validate images. We're going to pass files down to that. Right. A lot of times, guys, the way JJ asked a very important question. He says, why don't I just create a global class called uploads, and then you know, instead of doing it right here. And what Khalil says is correct. So what I do a lot of times when I'm coding is I just, like, if it's the first time I'm using it, I don't want to have to think about what I'm going to call a class, where I'm going to put it, and all that stuff on top of the logic that I'm doing. So I'll go ahead and get all the logic done, and then when I go and refactor it, I can take all that logic and I can stuff that into a class then and refactor the code to use that. And that way I know I have all my logic correct before I start doing that kind of stuff and putting it all over the place. So for me, it's just easier to get all the logic done and then refactor it at the end to make it better and to package it up where I want it. All right, so now we have this structured array. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Refresh. Unexpected restructure files, line 19. And that's because I forgot to type the keyword function there. All right. So we got some notices here we'll take care of. But first, let's look down in our array. And now we have a bunch of problems, but we'll take care of that too. So let's go and look at this. Undefined offset 0. So for each temp name as key, oh, duh. Okay, I did this backwards. So the way that I did this key right here, this needs to go the other way. So I just need to move that after each one of these. I don't know if it's just my brain, but just the way that they structure that, it makes it insanely hard for me to deal with that structure. I almost always restructure this like this because I hate the way it's packaged up in the HTML in the request where it comes in. All right, let's see if that takes care of it. All right, so that took care of it. We have now our array, this is what I'm dumping right here is an array of the files, the restructured files. So now each element in the array has temp name, name, size, error, type, all packaged up. So now I can actually loop through this and do individual validation on each file. Okay, and I don't have to do any weird logic to find that stuff. It wouldn't have been difficult to do that inside of here, but I just really want to deal with this structure like this. Okay, so that's why I did that. You guys, I mean, if you don't like that, hey, you know, that's on. You can do whatever you want. All right, so then what I want to do is inside of here, I want to create an errors array right here, and then I'm going to do a for each files as file. And again, we'll restructure this, guys, later to where, you know, we split the code up correctly and everything. So for each file as file, so what it's going to do is going to look at each one of these, and then it's going to say, okay, this is the file, and then we'll have access to file temp name, name, size, error, and all of that. So I want to define some limits up here to start checking against. The first thing that I want to do is I want to say the max size, and I want the max size, I don't know, what do you guys think, 25 megabytes? I don't know if that's correct. Let me Google that. Google's like my best friend. All right, so we'll just say 25 megabytes to bytes. Come on. Show me this crap. 7. Yeah, I'm right. All right. So we're close enough to right, and we can up that if we need to. Let's just see what these are. So this one, these are far below that. So these are really small images. So we'll keep it at 25 for now and see what happens. The other thing that I want to do is I actually want to check the type to make sure it's an image. So 25 megabytes is too much for images. Okay, well, we'll go to 5. I was trying to give a little flexibility for like large, like animated GIFs and things like that or something, but we'll do this. That's fine. So then what we'll do is we're going to do check our type, but what I want to do is create an array of allowed types here. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a little something. Let's see. If you go to php.net, and I might have removed that. I thought I had that file open. All right, so if we go php.net and we look for exif image type. All right, this is a better way. It's not foolproof, but this is a better way to quickly find out an image type or to check against it. Because you know how I told you that you could spoof like the MIME types and things like that is sent to, you know, you can spoof the MIME types that are sent along with the images, and you can actually use a PHP type. So you can't go off the browser MIME types, you can't go off the extension. So what this does is it actually reads the first bytes of the image and checks its signature to know if it is an image type. So what it allows you to do is it has all these, I guess it has 18 different constants here that you can check against. So we don't need all of these. I think we should allow like JPEGs, PNGs, and GIFs maybe. I'm not sure we need any of the rest of them for our application right now. So I'm just gonna go ahead and copy these 3. So I just want it to be here. We'll do actually don't think this is gonna work. I'll explain why in a minute, but I'm gonna just grab these because we do need them. And then the last one I'm gonna grab is the PNG. Yeah, I know I didn't actually type out an exact 5 megabytes. If we want to add the actual thing JJ sent the actual bytes there, but oh man, I get so stiff here. I need to like get a better chair for doing these long sessions. All right, so let's see. We have those types, and then what we can do is we can check each one of these types. So let's do that. So in order to run this, we run the EXIF image type, and then you pass in the file name, and then you check if it's equal or not equal to those things there. So what we'll do is let's see. So for each file, we want to know the type, and so we'll say if EXIF image type of the file, and then what we need to pass in there is the temp name, okay? Because that's the actual, that's going to get the path to the actual file where it can check the bytes against. So if that, so we'll take all of that, and I want to say if it's not in array, so this will be, let's see, the needle, and then we'll check if it's in the allowed types. Then what I want to do is I want to add to the errors, okay? So we'll say errors, and then we will tell it that the file, actually I don't know if that's going to be, let's see. This will be like the display name that the user will recognize, and we'll just pass that in. We'll say errors name, and then we're going to set a message that'll say, missing a bracket. Yeah, I'm sure I am. So the name is going to equal the file name there, and then we're going to do space, or let's do name is not an allowed file type. Please use a JPEG, GIF, or PNG. All right, so this will give an error message back to the user. So if that, and then what I want to do here, instead of dump and die in files now, is let's dump and die errors, and let's go back, refresh this. We should have 0. If not an array. All right, so there's no errors with that because they pass. So let's go and try to upload something that's not that. Let me see if I have anything. I don't have anything on my computer. So that's 232 megabytes, so we're not gonna do that. Let's see. Tell you what we'll do is we're gonna jump into Where's opt? There it is. Lamp. Docs. And I'm just going to try to upload this PHP file right here. Alright, so now we have an error, and this is a little bit better of a check because that function, that PHP, that exif image type, it actually will check the bytes of this file and look at its signature, and it knows by that if this is an image or not. So people can't manipulate the MIME type or the extension or anything like that. So that's one check. So we're just probably going to do make sure it's the right file size and the right type, and then we'll call that good for validation on this, unless you guys have any other validation that you want to see or that you think is necessary, and we'll discuss that. So let's go back to the manual here, and they also have this get image size. So we don't want to trust the size that's passed along necessarily. I don't know. Let's see what we get when we try this. We may or may not use this. I don't know. The main thing is that they're passing. The main issue for me is that they're passing the correct file type. So this is this first check. So this is going to check. We'll put a comment here. This is checking file type. And when we refactor this to be an uploads class, we'll have a different way to set these allowed types and sizes and all of that. So for now, it's just all in line. It's more procedural, I understand, but that's what we're doing for now. And then we're going to also check file size here. So let's go ahead and say, I want to see what this returns. So get image size, and then we'll say file temp name. And then what I want to do is just dump and die size, because I want to see what they're giving me. All right, what do you think, Khalil? What do you want to add, bud? That's not an image, first of all. I need to go back and get an image here. All right, so it gave us sizes. These are dimensions. So 1500 by 1080. It gives us a string of those. And it gives us a MIME type. What I'm not seeing is the actual so I guess this function actually gets the size, the physical dimensions of the image. So I misunderstood what that function was for. Get the max file upload size by Apache. Yeah, we could do that. We could query that. I'm not really necessarily sure that's something we need to run inside of a loop. We could actually, because we don't ever want that to be displayed to the user. That could be a problem. Like, if first of all, they would know we're using Apache over Nginx. Second of all, they would know what we have our server set to. Possibly. I'm not sure we need to give that much information. So instead, if our file size, we can check that as developers, and we can change our config file to change that max upload size, But I think we should do that as a developer and as a server admin, not necessarily inside of a loop. So I don't know that I agree with you on that. It's a good idea. I just think it's unnecessary. It's unnecessary resources we're going to use to do that. So if you have an argument against what I'm saying, I'm open to hear that. I just don't know. So I guess what we'll do is we will just trust the size that's passed along for now. So what we'll do is we're gonna say if file size is greater than yeah, but we're lazy. Yeah, I know, but we got to make those server admins do their job. Dang it, we don't need to be doing their job for them. That's what I think. I'm lazy, and we have some admins that work on the servers. I don't have to do that much, so I don't want to write code to fix their crap. But I guess you being a freelancer, I mean, you probably do all the server work yourself. All right, so check the file size. What we'll do here is, so if file size is greater than our max size, then we're going to add, and you know what? I'm going to move this name right here outside of this if statement. Ugh. Stupid fingers. I do that a lot where I mean to hit Control V and my finger hits C instead. Oh yeah, I didn't mean to run it in a loop. Yeah, maybe. I'll consider that. I think you have a valid point. I'll consider that. All right, so check the file size. What we will do here is we'll say errors, and then name, and this will overwrite the other error. So we'll probably move this above. But name, we could structure this a little bit different, but I don't know, is over the max allowed size of 5 megabytes. Let's do this file check size above this. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to lower this max size quite a bit to make this fail on purpose. Shift Control up and down. Nice. I can just push up and down on mine though. Oh, to move lines up and down. Let me try that. That's cool. Cool. Yeah, good tip there, JJ. I don't know, it doesn't work all the time though. It's like maybe I have to highlight the entire line to make that work. Maybe I can't move it above a comment. I don't know, it's not working now. It worked once. I don't know. Cool though. So let's check now and see if let's go ahead and re-upload that. Do that one. That's the largest one. Right. So now since I manipulated that max size to make this fail on purpose, it's telling me that this image is over the max allowed size, which is what we want. It's all good. All right, so I'm gonna change that back now, and I guess let me set this up. 242880. All right. So let's see. Or only control. All right, we'll try that one because. Ah, nice. That's good to know. See, some of these things I assume only IntelliJ can do, and then I learned those shortcuts, and I just like, oh, Atom's like a free one, and I don't learn all the shortcuts. But I do like, I like only using open source stuff when I do my videos if I can, just because I know some of you may not be in a position to pay any money for anything, and so I do my best, even if it's kind of not a tool that's as good as like a proprietary one. I just still try to use it. But in this case, Atom's a very capable editor. I mean, I actually like Atom a lot. I feel like IntelliJ is really cluttered. Like there's just so much going on. It's powerful, but it's cluttered and it's expensive. All right. So now our validate images, what we want to do is we want to return our errors. So I think what we want to do is we want to return, I'm not sure if we should return the entire errors array and then check later, or if we just can return true. Let's just let's return empty errors. So if empty errors is true, then we'll return true. Else, let's return errors. And I know a lot of you guys tell me that I don't need these extra parentheses here. It's just a personal preference. I think it's easier to read the code and know that's a ternary operator, just like on my if statements if I wrap this check in the parens. So Christopher says PHP Storm's only $8 a month. Yeah, that's cheap. WebStorm's the same, or the full suite, which is what I use, is $25 a month. I think it's more than that for us because we pay like a commercial. We have a lot of developers that use, and we pay per month per license. And you could be right that it's $25 a month. But still, Atom is $0 a month. But yeah, there's some nice stuff that they do. All right, so we're returning now validate images. Okay, so we don't actually want to run validate images. What we'll want to do is we will actually want to just go ahead and upload these. But first, what we need to do is in our controller, we'll want to, let's see, we don't want to run this right now. I'm not sure, like, you guys tell me what you think. If there's two ways we can go about this. A, we can not upload the product if there's any invalid images and make them fix it. Or we could go ahead and let them create the product and then just return any errors with images and allow them to re-upload them in an edit screen. But I don't know, like that's just kind of a user experience thing that I could go either way on. I think it makes most sense for now is go ahead and validate the images, and if the images don't validate, we will actually stop. Yeah, if the images don't validate, we're going to not upload it, I think. So let's see. Okay, product should not be created. Yeah, I mean, again, that I could see it both ways. So like if our application like doesn't require an image, like if we want to be able to just create a product that has like no image, which wouldn't be a great sales pitch, then we could allow them to create it if their images don't pass, and then they can go back and add an image later. But we'll go ahead and do it that way because I think you're right in this situation. All right, so I'm going to move this below our cross-site request check. Let's see, control down. Yes, that's cool. All right, so product images, what we're going to do is say images errors, something like that. And then we'll get the validate images. The other thing that we'll do here is we are going to if is array images errors, then what we want to do is stop everything. So basically, if is array images errors, then we want to add to the product. We want to add an error. Add error. Dang it! What do I call that? I wish I had, by next week I'm gonna get that package set up so I don't have to keep looking at these core files. Add error message. Add error message. The field will be product images, and then the message this is tough because this is like, which one do we show them? You know what we'll do? We'll go ahead and say message is equal to, or for each images errors as name message. Then we're going to say message plus equal to message and then we'll add that error message like that. So then let's try that real quick. So if I go back here and actually make sure I get rid of all my dump and dies. All right, so let's see. One more thing. I'm just going to make this fail on purpose. So I'm going to take away the 880, or just the 80. All right, so we're not displaying it below our uploads right here, but it says Catan1.jpg is over the max allowed size of 5 megabytes, and then got a problem there. I'll fix that. Let me take a look. I did something wrong here. For each name. Why is that? Did it twice. For each file is this file. Name is file name. Yeah, I probably made a stupid mistake here. Oh, I did make a really stupid mistake. I'm calling this the same freak. I'm so dumb. Let's do. Man, it's been a really long day. I don't know how you guys put up with me. See how dumb I am? I actually just wanted to do these live things to prove to you guys how easy it is to be a developer, because I'm actually really, really dumb. And if I can do this, any of you guys can do this. Tokens corrupted. Alright, there we go. Catan 3 is over the max allowed size of 5 megabytes. Catan 2, Catan 1. Alright. Alright, so now that I figured out my stupid mistake, I think it'd be wise for us to go ahead and include this down here. And also body. Let's see, it thinks there's an error with body. So let's go ahead and see what's going on there and possibly see if we can figure that out, putting that message there too. It says that there's an error with body, but I don't see a message. So let's figure that out. Name, price, list. All right, so let's add body to this required fields. And do that. And then in our form, we're going to get rid of the display errors thing at the top. And we will add here. I'm just going to add for now, guys, because I don't have a form helper for this. We're just going to do raw HTML here, and we're going to say, give this a class equal to form group. Ugh. Dang it. Well, I'm stupid too, because that's not going to work. I'm going to leave that for now. I'll clean this stuff up. I'll need to add this as a form helper, this image upload thing, because if I want to do it to where I'm passing these display errors without doing a bunch of extra logic here, I want that to just figure it all out on its own. So let's actually do the upload part of this if we have time here. We're running out of time. Dang it. So let's see. Let's do public function save our upload image, product image. And then what I want to pass into this is it's going to get product ID, and then we're going to pass it in the files that are going to be uploaded. So files, and then we're going to create, remember the path I said is going to be equal to let's see, the path will be let's just use our uploads. And then it's going to go into product images, and then we're going to concatenate on product underscore, and then we're going to pass down the product ID, and then we'll concatenate on that. So the other thing, just as a matter of cleanup, yeah, we can add a break after each message if we want. I don't know, we'll see. So what I want to do is here the upload product images product ID, and then we're going to loop through the files. So I'm going to add the path there, and then we'll say for each we're going to say for each files as file, and we need to create a new name for this thing. So I'm just going to say hash, and we're just going to create a SHA-1 of timestamp, and then we're going to concatenate on the product ID, and we're also going to concatenate on, just in case this happens too quick, we're going to concatenate file, and we'll use the temp name. So we know that's going to be unique. So this hash will be a SHA-1, and then so we'll have that, and then our upload name is going to be equal to hash, and then we'll concatenate on the extension. So we need to get that extension. So we'll say parts is equal to file name, and what we're going to do there is we'll explode that. We're going to explode this by a period. All right. Then what we'll do is we're going to say key is equal to parts end parts. So then the hash, we're going to concatenate on a period, and then we'll concatenate parts key. All right. So you're tracking with me so far. What we're doing here is we're taking the original file name just to copy the extension over, and then we're turning that into an array, and then we're getting the last element of the array, which will be the extension, and then we're hashing, making sure we're going to have a unique hash here. So we're doing a SHA-1, and then what we're going to do is create an upload name, which will be the hash period, and then this is our extension. Okay. So then what we want to do is let's see, what was in our database? URL, product ID. So we're going to say so this will be image is equal to new self, and then we're going to say image URL is equal to path concatenate on upload name. I think I do want to add the name separately, so I'm just going to do name as well, and this will just be upload name. All right, and then we also need, let's see, what else did I put in there? The product ID. So then image product ID is going to equal product ID, and then we'll do image if image save, then we're going to do move, what is that function called? Move uploaded file. I think that's what it's called. I haven't looked at that in a long time either. Move, it is move uploaded file. So it gets the file name and then the destination. So the file name is not the one we just created. The file name is actually going to be the temp name. So it's going to be file and then temp name. That's where it's coming from, and that's your temporary store. And then where it's going to go is image. Well, it's going to go to the p root. We might have to use, actually, what we might have to do is use the root. Yeah, we'll use root here. I think what we have to do, so we say we'll concatenate on root, and then image URL. So what, just kind of looking down this, what it's going to do is, and we'll refactor all this, guys, don't worry, we're not going to get to it tonight, but it's going to loop through each of our files. It's going to create an upload name by hashing it. It's going to create a new product images model object, and then we populate that with URL, name, product ID, and then we save it, and if that's successful, we go ahead and move the uploaded file. I have no idea if this is going to work because I just did a lot of coding without testing stuff. The other thing let's see, the other thing that could happen here is, let's go back here. So what we want to do is say product save. After the product saved, that's where we're going to well, we have a method inside the model, and it's called get. It's a getter for the validates thing, so we can use that to determine here, hello, Oh yeah, I should be using the DS. Correct, JJ, you are correct. I'm just kind of trying to rush through this a little bit because we're getting close on time. Validation passed. So what we can do is we could say if product validation passed, then we're going to upload images. Okay, so here what we'll do is we need to run the files through that thing again, which we'll do that here anyway and refactor some of that later. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say structured files is equal to product images. What do I call that? Restructure files. So what we'll probably do is call this in the top of the action, and then just pass that down and not call it inside the other function. So it only gets called once. But for now, I'm just going to pass this down like this. So restructured files. And then what we do is we're going to run the so this actually, let's make this a static method. And then we can just do product images upload product image. Is that what I called that? And then we need to pass in our product ID and our structured files. All right. And all of these should actually be the directory separators. So all right, and then also, as JJ so kindly pointed out, I have to do that. All right, so let's see what happens. My first initial guess is it's not going to work, and also I'd be surprised if it works because there's probably a bug somewhere. Also, permissions are probably going to be weird. So let's give this thing a name. All right, Khalil. Yeah, I am going to end soon. It is 10 o'clock. If you guys need to bounce, you can bounce. I'm going to try this out. And the next live stream we do, we'll go ahead and refactor this stuff into its own class and continue down this path. But we're getting closer to getting the products done. And then what we're going to do is start displaying them, and then we're going to start working on our payment gateway. So good night. Thank you for everyone, guys, for being here. It's late here. It's early there. I get it. There's no good time for us to do this, but we're all doing what we have to do. So let's do a test here. I'm going to give it a price. I don't even care what these values are right now. I'm just plugging stuff in. Oops, I forgot to add back the max size. I kept that too small. And let's just refresh that. Now my token's corrupted. Awesome. Okay, that's still there. Dang it. undefined function timestamp, because I'm dumb. There's no such thing as a timestamp function. It is actually, is it now? Or is it just time? Maybe it's time. I love that you guys are networking on here and helping each other out. That's more than I could have asked for. That's really awesome. I love that. Also, I love that you guys are stepping up and helping me out. Artur did a good job doing that. So product ID cannot be null. So I screwed that up. This is wrong. All right, so let's fix both of those things. One thing I forgot to do is we didn't add the name in here. So let's go ahead and add a new column here. And that's a product ID, name. Okay, and then just delete all these. We don't need them. So product ID was wrong, so we need to check that out. Product ID. Product images. I need to add name here. So for some reason this was null. Let's go back here. Did I blacklist product ID? I think I blacklisted ID here, but that's just so we can't assign. I'm not using the assign function, so I don't think that's it. So what we need to do is here, let's just do an H dump and die, and let's look at product, because product ID might not be set right there, which would cause our issue, one of our issues. There's many issues. So we made it necessary to do a freaking image. So yeah, an ID is null. So let's find out why that is. Let's see, in the model save function, so this is going to be true or false. Interesting. Product ID should have been 5. JJ, I'll do that just to show you, but that's not going to solve the problem. If it does, I'll be really surprised, because I'm not using the assign anywhere. So that, I really don't think that's the issue. I think it's an issue where after the database is actually inserting the row, there's nothing that's going back in the model and updating that object. So we actually have to do like a refresh on the object to add this ID back in. So I actually know what I'm going to do to fix that. All right, guys, good night. So this issue is yeah, I know what the issue is now. It's not the assign thing, but I know what it's like to think something and you need to see it for yourself. So I'm just going to show you, but I know what the issue is now. So see, ID is still null. I removed that blacklist. The problem is there's nothing updating it. There's just simply nothing updating it after it's saved. And so the model itself, when it runs this save function, there's this there's a last ID stored. So if you look here, we have this last insert ID. So what we can do is last insert, I think we called it last ID. So model I don't know if we created that on the model. But what we'll do is if product saved right here, just to get this done for tonight, I'm going to refactor this to make it better. But what we're going to do is we're going to throw in an after save. So public function after save. This is not the ultimate fix here, but this will fix it. So we're going to say this ID is equal to this DB last ID. And then that'll work, I think. So let's go now and test it one more time. I think we're getting closer, guys. 31. What did I? I guess I accidentally pasted something here when I was in this file. That's weird. All right. All right, yep, now we have the string ID is 7. So now we can get rid of that dump and die, and we should be good to go. Unless there's a permission error or something like that with my local server, which since this is Linux and I just set this up, I am almost 100% certain the upload would not work. And if that's the case, we're probably not going to get to fixing it tonight. Yours might actually work, especially if you're on Windows. But I don't think my actual upload's going to work. Yeah, we never fixed that. Op lamp products 8 dot. So and our upload products, just a few of us left here tonight, guys. Hanging on tight. We're so close. So the key Make sure I did that end function right. Oh, I guess I can just... I didn't do it right. So this is actually not the key. That's actually the extension. So then what we can do is in the upload name, we just pass extension there. All right, one more try. Filling my database full of junk. 5 amp models products images.php on line 47. So it's not finding that. htdocs live uploads product images product. Oh, we didn't create it. We got to create that directory. So php create directory. All right, so that's our problem. So we need to if I'm just going to copy this from Stack Exchange. That's what good developers do. All right. Dang it. All right. So if file doesn't exist, and then we need to put our path right here. So we'll say path. Yep. And we'll make that directory path. Not sure I want to give it 777 privileges. All right. All right, one more time. You guys probably saw all that. You guys aren't as dumb as I am. You guys aren't as dumb as I look. All right, let's see. Permission denied. That's what I thought. All right, so it doesn't allow us to make the directory, and that's because of my Linux setup. So with that, guys, we gave it a good try to get uploads done tonight. We didn't quite make it. It's 10:15. I think I want to respect you guys' time a little bit, and I know a lot of you getting ready to go to work and you haven't even slept yet. And at any rate, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you guys have any last-minute questions about anything, feel free to ask. But I think we're just going to wrap it up for the night. I'm going to fix, at the beginning of the next video, we'll fix these file permission issues. So I'll show you how to do that. I think that's the last thing we need to do to fix that. And we should be good to go with our upload form. We'll fix some styling, and we'll do our redirects and things like that. So, guys, I love what we're doing. I think I can always get better. So if you guys are, sitting here thinking I suck at doing this, know that just as like I'm always trying to become a better developer, I'm trying to get better at doing these YouTube videos as well. I don't want these to be scripted. like my normal videos as much. I just want to get on here and do stuff live with you guys. So that's why it feels a little chaotic sometimes. But thank you guys so much. You guys are awesome. And keep working hard. Never give up. Never give up. Always keep Googling your problems. Keep figuring something out. And if you can't figure it out and you're still having issues and you're tired, do what we're about to do now. Go home, go to sleep, look at the code again the next day, and fix it. All right, guys, with that, I'm out. Have a wonderful, wonderful night.